Ready?
Yeah, ready to start the meeting?
Live.
Good morning.
Everybody turn off their phones.
We're going to call to order the meeting of the Anchorage Advisory Committee. And it's 9 o'clock, and we're going to start with Pledge Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Screwed it up.
Does anybody have an extra agenda? Can I share yours?
Yeah, that's your.
Roll call. Start on my left. Thank you.
Sam Lurie,
Jim Adderholt.
Ed Schoonover,
John Wesley Nash.
Jim Hockett.
Ted Lowell. Doug Ekman. Approved.
Chris Riedel King.
You got somebody on the phone, right?
Chris Riedel King on the phone.
Chris is on the phone. Acknowledged. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Approve the agenda. Any comments on the agenda? Looks appropriate. I'm going to assume it's unanimously approved.
Sam, I move we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approve the previous meeting minutes. Do I have a motion or
Well,
comment?
Move we approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval passes unanimously. Public comment on agenda, 3 minutes per person. Do we have anybody from the public? None? Hearing none. We have a presentation, LCSO Chris Nice.
Excuse me, sorry, yeah, I'll introduce Tony Smith. This is Detective Tony Smith. Chris Nice couldn't make it today. Detective Tony Smith is basically who comes out and works with our staff whenever we do call LCSO. He's very familiar with the area and all of the issues that we have in our area. So this is the gentleman that takes care of Fort Myers Beach, especially DVs. Am I correct? Mostly DVs and all the boating issues that we have in the area.
TVs.
Derelict vessels. I'm sorry.
Derelict.
Yeah, sunken vessels, derelict vessels, and all that.
So let me, I'll give you guys a little background on what I do. If we find a boat on Fort Myers Beach, and I investigate these vessels from Fort Myers Beach to the county line. 95% of the vessels I investigate are in Fort Myers Beach, Matanzas Pass, Hurricane Pass, Estero Bay area. So I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I've been in the Marine unit for 12, but I've been doing the investigative part of this for 3. Before I started my position as the DV guy, we really didn't move vessels. We didn't have, you know what I'm saying? We'd get with the owner and say, hey, move the vessel. Well, laws changed. When I took over the program, it was like, move the vessel or you go to jail. Or we're gonna do it and we're gonna charge you. So that's what I've been doing. My first year here, I removed 25 sunken vessels.
Yay.
FWC has 25 guys and they removed 23 vessels. And I did it by myself and removed 25, and that was, every one of those were in Matanzas Pass. So last year, after I got the ball rolling, the very next year, I only had like 10 vessels. The year after that, I only had 2 or 3. So if you work at it, you know, if you get these vessels and charge these people with crimes and charge them basically what happens is it's a misdemeanor, first degree, for a derelict vessel in the state of Florida. If they do not pay to have that vessel removed through the court system, I can take away their ability to register any vehicles or boats in the state of Florida forever. Okay, some people that affects, but most of the people that live on these boats are living under the scope anyway. They don't care about their credit, they don't care if they can, 500,000 registered vessels anyway, you know. So I wish the state would come up with a little stronger, you know, incentive for these people to do what they should be doing, not buying these boats. They don't, if they sink and they just leave. Or go buy another vessel for $100 and go live on that one. So we're working on that part of it, and we're working with the state attorney's office to try to be a little harder on these people, you know. So anyway, this year we got back, and a lot of it's due to the hurricane. The hurricane, FWC came in, they took people from across the state, FWC officers, and they removed over 300 vessels. And that's throughout the county. Most of those were here in Fort Myers Beach. I am up to, right now, I'm up to 14 active investigations for derelict vessels as 2023. I'm still investigating a few of these. We just had one sink not too long ago on the mooring field. The guy, just after the hurricane, took his boat, put it on the mooring ball, didn't tell anyone, and it sunk. So, I'll explain this to you guys. In that situation, somebody that's not supposed to be on the mooring balls, it's a crime. Because he had no business being there, he had no business anchoring in the acreage or nothing like that. If somebody is contracted to be on the mooring field, they're paying you guys money and stuff, and their boat sinks, that's not a crime. You understand where I'm coming from? That's like, say if I rent an RV spot over here at the RV park, and my RV breaks down, I can't drive it away. Well, there's that's between them, the RV park, and the person who they have a contract with. It's the same type of thing. It's derelict investigations are, it takes me almost a year to complete one, because it's people's livelihood, it's some place where they live. You know, it's like trying to kick somebody out of their home. So it takes me an extremely long time to be able to take someone's property and destroy it, and then charge them criminally for it. So, and it's a long process. And what the state makes it worse than it is, because the state has been sued so many times, and if I don't do it exactly the way they want it done, we could all get sued, you know. So I have to cross my T's, dot my I's. Everything's got to be perfect, documented wise. I have to send certified mail, I have to take photographs of certified mail, put it into cases and stuff like that. Now, good.
Sorry to interrupt. For those who may be watching, might want to just set the table and help us understand how you define a derelict vehicle.
Okay, so derelict vessels, there's 3 categories for a derelict vessel. It can be wrecked, which means sunk, sitting on the bottom, okay? Or it can be junked, it can be stripped of all things of value, like somebody will come in and strip all the seats, the motor, the helm, and it's just a shell of the boat. Okay, we have those all the time. And then you have the third one is if the vessel has no motor, no power, it can't run, it can't steer, or there's a breach in the hull. So it has to have 2 of those. Like if it has a breach of the hull and no steering, but it has a motor, well then it's classified derelict. But if only one of those, if the motor doesn't run, but the hull's intact and it has steering, that doesn't mean it's derelict. It has to be 2 of the 3 things.
What about current licensing or current registration?
Registration, that's a whole, we can charge them with failure to transfer title, expired registration, stuff like that, but that has nothing to do with the derelict.
Okay.
That, yeah, whole different ballgame. But we can write them for that and stuff like that.
What do you do with the vessels that have been reported stolen?
Stolen?
Yes.
Well, usually we take the vessel and try and find the owner and have them come get it. Obviously, the bad guy goes to jail. I don't know what your question is, but what do we do with it?
I've heard of vessels being left in the area, and the owner just reports it stolen, and he's not responsible all of a sudden for the removal of this thing.
Oh, you say if it becomes derelict?
Yep.
Yeah, we've had a guy not too long ago get arrested for, he had several warrants. We took him to jail, and he was living on a sailboat. It sunk. Well, then I went and charged him with derelict vessel on top of that while he was in jail. It's just easier to find him. I can just go to jail and serve him his papers, write him his tickets and stuff like that. So that's the way that works, if it becomes derelict. I'm saying if it's say some guy steals a rental boat and he doesn't bring it back for like 10 days and he deprives that person of their property, then we just call the rental company, hey, come get your boat. We do photographs and blah, 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 and do all the evidence stuff, and then he goes to jail.
Okay.
Where are the boats taken?
What's that?
The derelict vessels, where are they taken?
They are taking, the county has a dock over by Trico area, in that area. The contractors who win the bid to come out and get the vessel, they'll drag it up there. They've got tractors and cranes and stuff, and they'll tear it into little parts and put it into a dumpster, and then they haul it to the dump. Every single boat that is removed from the water, I get a closeout from that company. Whoever wins that bid, I get all the photographs of the vessel being lifted, of the vessel being torn apart, of the dump receipt, and then I physically go out and make sure that the vessel's gone before the state will refund the county or we send for the removal. That's a whole different ballgame too. There's all the ways these things are getting funded to be removed. FWC has millions of dollars for this derelict vessel program through the state. We have WESEN, which is the West Coast Inland Water.
Navigation District, West Coast Inland Navigation District.
Right. And then we have DNR, the county, Lee County DNR, Department of Natural Resources. DNR will front the money, or WESEN will front the money. Then I have to go, and after I complete my entire report, have it removed, and all that stuff, then they try and get the money back through grants from the state. So I have to have my ducks in a row to be able to get that state funding back. Now, the FWC officers, they don't have to worry about that because it's their money. But I'm saving the county, I'm saving you guys hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on money to get these things out of the water. I mean, because it's an environmental problem, leaking diesel fuel. We had that one boat leak. God knows how much fuel in the water. We had no vacancy. I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe, something like that. 50 some odd foot powerboat sunk back here at Hurricane Pass, and I roll up on it and it's leaking diesel fuel. I'm like, oh no. So I get the Coast Guard pollution people involved, I get DEP involved, and I get all these people on the boat. I'm saying, all right, let's get out there. We boom it off, make sure there's no, it's not escaping that area. There was 500 gallons of diesel fuel in this boat. We got there the next day. I got all this put together. The Coast Guard, DEP, and all them, they put together, we closed down Punta Rasa boat ramp and set up for the removal of that fuel, and we recovered 200 gallons of it. So, I mean, that's a big win for us, but that cost $80,000. Okay? You guys didn't have to pay for it, city, because we got the state to pay for it, or actually the Coast Guard paid for it, so it was federal. funding for that. And then they go after bad guy. And it was a derelict vessel. So you guys don't even see what's going on behind closed doors of us, you know, saving the beach, Fort Myers Beach, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, easily, just in derelict vessels, you know, fuel in the water, things like that.
So I'm sorry, if, this was already said. I understand DNR, understand FWC. You come with, who are you? What
I'm the Lake
department?
County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so I am actually a granted position through WeSend. Okay, they pay the sheriff's office $150,000 a year for my position. But I'm multitask everything, you know, I do the marine side of patrolling, and I also do the derelict vessel stuff. So I don't have time for a whole lot of anything, you know. I spent 12 hours yesterday just doing paperwork. Sending revocations for 5 people that, you know, cases from 2021, 22 to rescind their ability to, you know, register any other vessels in our state or cars, vehicles.
So when I see the vessel marked sheriff in the back bay, that's you?
Well, we have 8 people in our unit,
Okay.
but I'm the only one that
vessel
does
or-
derelicts.
One vessel or multiple vessels?
Oh, we have 15, 16 vessels,
Okay.
but
But you're working.
we have
in
2
derelict.
shifts of 3 guys. I'm one of those 3 guys that work each side of the shift. We work 12-hour days. Then I have a sergeant and a lieutenant. Lieutenant Nice was supposed to be here with me today, but he couldn't make it. So at any given time, for the 800 square miles of water that we have in Lee County, we only have 3 deputies on the water. You know, but you got 6 FWC, you got a couple guys from the Cape, a couple guys from Sanibel, a couple guys from Fort Myers PD. So we all really work well together, and we have the Coast Guard too.
Of course, yeah.
Can I ask, typically, how long does it take after the vessel's been determined to be disabled, that it gets removed? And who makes the determination?
I do.
Okay, and
So-
Austin can't go out there, he
He
can just alert
could
you?
call
that-
me and say, hey, I got a sunk vessel out here, come check it out. Or I have a vessel I think that's derelict, and I go out there and make the determination whether it is or isn't
Okay.
by state statute. I can't do, how can I put this? I can't get out of my lane. In other words, I can't say, well, it's right on the borderline of being derelict, or it could be a nuisance vessel, like a vessel that, it doesn't run, but it's not derelict. You know what I'm saying? So I have to go out there and make that determination whether or not it is derelict or not.
And then after you've done that,
It
what's the
takes-
timeline?
Oof. It's easily over a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm still working investigations from 2021. Okay. Right now I'm closing. Like yesterday, I did 5 cases that are closed, but I had to send the paperwork to Tallahassee to, you know, take away their ability to register. We don't want these people ever registering another vessel,
Yeah.
if we can help it, you know. So we do that. Now, once they pay the money to WeSend or whoever funded the removal, now I have to take that away. You know, they can register vehicles again and vessels.
After the hurricane, didn't you like mark vessels that were gonna be removed with some type of signage or something? And how would the general public know if a vessel is derelict, that you've already investigated that and it's just in the waiting process?
So, yes, they did. FWC came in, there was 300 of them from across the state. And they actually, all the hurricane sunk boats that were at Fort Myers Beach, we'll just talk about Fort Myers Beach, they tagged immediately. If it's derelict, it's tagged, boom. You know what I mean? And it comes out of an emergency funding, derelict funding they have for hurricanes and things like that. Some of the boats that I'm having removed right now are hurricane boats that we're finding. I found one sunk in front of Moss Marine no one knew about. And it was a 29-foot sailboat. And then I found the 39-foot powerboat right here at Matanzas Bridge sunk. And the only reason I found those is because of winter tides. I could see the eddies coming off of them. I said, there's something down there. So I got my side scan out and I side scanned them. I said, oh, there's a boat. So then we take our divers out, we dive it, we try and identify it, who owned it, or, trying to get any type of numbers off of it, or a name off the stern, or anything we can identify. We were unable to identify these two boats. They're scheduled for removal, and this all started back in like November. And I'm just now scheduling those for contract to find contractors that have them removed.
So for the vessels that are derelict, that haven't sunk, and they're just been abandoned,
Right.
do you tag them or something so
Yes.
people will know?
Every time we send out, so basically here's how it works. I find a derelict vessel, I go, okay, it's a derelict. My investigation, I start finding the owners, tracking them down, which is not easy because most of these people live under the radar. They don't have any power bills, they don't have license, they don't have nothing but that boat. And it's 99% of the time, it's not even registered. Or it's registered to somebody in Miami or Tampa or Fort Pierce or wherever that say, oh, I sold that boat 2 years ago. And then where are you at? Well, then I find the next guy and he says, oh man, I sold that boat, a year and a half ago. And the next guy says, well, I sold it a year ago. So then I have to say, okay, you get the bill of sale? Oh yeah, I'll email it to you. So he emails me the bill of sale. Then I track the next guy down, and the next guy, and the next guy, until I get to the guy that can't prove that he got rid of the boat. And there's my guy. Last responsible party, as the statute says. It's either the owner or the last responsible party.
But the vessel is tagged once you make your
Once
determination,
I
correct?
locate the owner, or I can't locate the owner, okay? Sometimes you just can't. The people either have deceased, or you just can never, like this one that we're working over here around the corner. He sent me the HIN number. Apparently somebody bought this boat from out of the country. It's never been registered in the US. Okay? Anchored it here, I'm just gonna fix it up, right? It has no record. So you know what I'm saying? So at that point, it's derelict, and I can't tag boats under the water, so those boats never get tagged.
Right.
But the boats on the water, as soon as I find the person, I send them their rights packet. They have rights. They have 21 days to respond. As soon as I mail that out, I can go out and tag that boat. And it's a big red sticker about this big.
Okay.
And it's got my name on it, the case number, all the information about the boat. And it says, look, stay off this boat. It's the states now. And if these people don't respond within 21 days, okay, that's when I do the removal, and I start that removal process and charging them with their vessel. What I do is a summons that goes straight to the judge, and I put my probable cause down on the summons, a picture, a description of the bad guy, and they decide whether or not, we can do charges.
Got it. You answered my question and then some. Thank you.
So once you determine the FL number or ID number and try to find an owner, it sounds like you're pretty aggressive on trying to find that. What kind of success rate do you have getting any kind of money from these people?
We have not yet anyone pay,
Even these nice yachts?
even the nice yachts.
So you lean them up as much as you can so it'll follow them around until they get to a stumbling block and they'll have to pay it to go on with life?
Yes.
Okay.
So I get a lot of calls that say, hey man, I can't register my car, I gotta get to work. Well,
Pay off your lien?
pay off, the state paid for you to get that boat out. You had a chance to get that boat out. That's 21 days.
So it's very difficult to get any
It's
kind of
very
money.
difficult to get any money. And people, Got
How much money is it typically
to
cost?
remove. So a sunken vessel, we'll say an average 25 to 29 foot sailboat, powerboat, doesn't matter, sunk in say 4 foot of water, is around $15,000 to $19,000 to have it removed.
I have another question. I lived for 15 years on Sable Drive, and there was a boat out there at the end in the bay. Somebody lived on it. There's a couple dinghies tied to it. And they were out there that whole time until the hurricane happened by it moved. Under what circumstances is it legal just to anchor a boat and live on it?
As long as you're maintaining the vessel, it's legal. You can pretty much anchor anywhere on state property as long as you're not on private property and the owner complains. And not a whole lot of people own the bottom. Okay, we have a few situations where people do own the bottom, is, you know, the little Hurricane Pass Bridge. If you look west toward the Gulf, on that left side, there's a bunch of mangroves right in there. Well, people own the bottom there. And they call and say, hey, you gotta get this boat out of here. So my job is to go find the owner and say, hey man, you gotta go, you know.
What would be like, my neighbor, I didn't live on the water, but down at the end of the street, my neighbor was fronting right on the bay. And somebody did anchor a boat real close to his house, right in front of his house. That's legal?
It's legal.
There isn't a buffer zone?
You don't have any riparian zone or something?
Nope.
It's water of the state.
It's the water of the state.
Yeah, because it's kind of an eyesore.
Well,
was moved
but an
pretty
eyesore
quick.
is not a crime.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Now, if the boat sunk right there,
yeah.
then we've got it. Or if the boat, you know, if you saw him dumping his urine over the side or something like that. There's ways we can, you know, we had this is not too long ago, we had a guy who supposedly owns a removal boat, sunk, recovery, I guess they want to call it. And he had all these boats in this little bay over on St. James City. And we went over there for about 8 or 9 days straight. And I wrote him, my hands were sore from writing tickets. And because they weren't registered, these boats were, you know, borderline derelict, you know, at-risk vessel. What are you doing with your waste? And I kept on him and on him and on him. The neighbors, and I had every one of the neighbors' numbers. They had my number. They called me up and said, hey man, that guy pulled out of here. He's gone. He got tired of being harassed. You know, and we're not harassing him, but we're making sure that he's abiding by the law.
Right. Yeah.
You know, there are ways to influence the, you know, stuff like that. So.
Has any of those costs that you mentioned been, have they all been absorbed by the state, or has the town paid for anything?
No, the county has paid a lot of money.
Okay.
But they always get refunded. So far, since I've taken over the program. Not only do I have to do, say my normal report, I have to put it into our program and stuff. I also have to do it in FWC, so I have to double my work. An FWC officer doesn't have to do that. He just puts it in his program, he's done. But I have to do it in ours and theirs to get the state funding back. That way they can look in their system and say, oh, okay, it's been removed, Deputy Smith's working it, you know, and FWC loves me because, you know, they don't have to deal with this anymore. They don't have to deal with Fort Myers Beach anymore. Fort Myers Beach is the worst area for derelict vessels, ever. This our whole county. And it's because it's the hub of where everyone goes. You know, like we were talking about. I do way more cases than all the FWC guys for any of the surrounding counties. Collier doesn't have a problem because they really don't have a center area. Port Charlotte doesn't have a big problem. I think they had maybe 1 or 2 derelict vessels last year, you know. And here I am, I've got 14 open cases from last year. then I'm still working, you know? So,
Are most of those sunken, or are they?
I think all of them were sunk, but one was stripped, and it's over by Bunch Beach it was back up there by the little bridge. So I had a derelict vessel there, and somebody, I don't know who, stripped another vessel and just tied it off to my derelict vessel. So now I'm working 2 vessels in that same spot. So that's what, these things are gonna happen, and I don't know what it is about wintertime, but wintertime is my busiest time. I get the most derelict vessels at this time of year. It's supposed to be the dry season, you know, usually vessels have no way to de-water. So they fill up with water and sink. Well, that's supposed to be a summertime thing, not a wintertime thing, but I don't know what it is about the wintertime, but I get, all my derelicts are in the winter.
Everybody comes back and sees the boat out back and takes it out.
Yeah.
Just a broader question, since you're on patrol in the bay, what are the most common things you see? Is it people going too fast and leaving awake? Is it drinking and driving? And since we have a public audience, any advice you want to give to the public, whether it be for derelict vehicles or just broader boat conduct on the bay?
We mostly deal with the manatee zones and the speed regulated zones. I mean, that's our biggest thing, because let's face it, Pink Shell, Moss, all these places, you have people flying through there, they're trying to fuel their boats. You're throwing a big wake up in there, you know, and we have to slow those people down. And that's, I would say 65, 70% of our day is just trying to, and if you think about it, most of the people that go slow are local people. They're not the ones speeding, it's the people that rent boats. That are from out of the area. They're from Germany, or they're from Ohio, or they're from New York. Those are most of the people we deal with the most.
When you write the citation, is it DNR's, does it go to DNR and they have their responsibility to enforce, or?
For which? For like a speeding or
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, no, that goes straight to the state.
Okay. So FWC.
Yeah. We have, like, on the road, they have traffic citations, we have boating citations.
Right.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
But do you have a message for the public this morning, aside from slow down, or?
Yeah, take care of your boats, you know. Don't let them sink, maintain them. And if you're not gonna maintain it, then take it out of the water. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I hope it happens, but, you know.
How can you, on people living on vessels, how can you detect or how do you prove that they're dumping overboard?
Well, most of the time we catch them doing it, visual, and then we have dye tabs that we can put in their system. And then when we go flush the toilet, the dye will come outside of the boat.
I haven't heard it. That's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yep. You have those too?
Yeah, so that's what we do in the mooring field, is if we suspect somebody's discharging, we'll dye their tank. If we pull up and we don't suck dye out, we have a visual window, then we know that it's been dumped because they dumped it out. It's not so much we'll see the dye in the water, it's the fact it's not in the tank anymore.
Right.
When we go ahead and pump it out.
So you have the right to do that at your discretion?
Yeah, it's all covered in the harbor management plan.
Does that include ones outside of the field?
We'll drop a tab, it's not if we do suspect on it, but we do offer, we won't go up and pump them out involuntarily, we look for them to voluntarily pump out. And then if there's any suspicion of they're just doing it so they get off the radar, we'll dye them, and then wait again. If we come back and there's no dye in the tank when we pump them again, we know there's somewhere in between there, they discharged.
And we could write tickets for that. We can. I think it's $138 fine, and, if what happens is say if we go to you and you don't have any pump out tickets, but you're living on the boat, we know you've been living on the boat for months. Well, you gotta use the restroom sometime. So, and some people will have a pump out ticket from like November, but they won't have another one since, from, till today. It's like, your pump, how big's your tank? you know, so.
And if it, obviously, if they prove to you or declare a type 3 MSD, then they're clear.
Well, with the type 2s and the type 3s, which the type 2s are going to be the electrosands that treat it electronically, and the type 3s that are composting, we have to have a Coast Guard approved document stating that that manufacturer has that occupant has a Coast Guard approved MSD system. So and that's in the mooring field. Outside of the mooring field, I can't really ask for that. But in the mooring field, because it's mandatory pump outs if you're in the mooring field, if we come to a vessel and they state, I have a composting head, I need to see the Coast Guard certification stating that that is approved. Usually when you buy that kind of system, the manufacturer comes with a certificate stating that this has been approved by Coast Guard for a MSD system.
You go beyond just the town's jurisdiction. You go all the way into like Hurricane Bay and all
I
of
do the whole county.
You do the whole county, okay.
Well, I patrol the whole county.
Okay.
I do derelicts from Fort Myers Beach all the way to the county line.
All the way to county line.
We've came up with an agreement with FWC that there are people who are gonna take the north end and I'm gonna take the south end. Because that way, if I'm working a boat in Fort Myers Beach and they see the same boat, they're not gonna go, oh, well, there's a derelict, I'll start working it. And it just doesn't waste a lot of time. We're trying to be as time efficient as possible with these things, and it's really hard.
Detective, not to get off subject, but we get a lot of, at the council, we get a lot of comments and concerns from folks who are wondering where the speed limit signs are. Are those signs, in your view, up and running again, or they still need to be replaced, or how are we on this?
So all the county signs are up. All the state signs, they're still a little bit working on those. Federal signs have not been put up at all.
And that's on the shoulders of who at the federal level? What
That's a good
agency?
question. I don't deal with a lot of federal,
Chad? Austin?
I'm sorry, what?
He said all the county and state signs are up for speed limit, manatee, et cetera, but the feds are not. What federal agency would that be?
It'd be the Coast Guard, I believe, that would be monitoring those. And I'll get with the Coast Guard and see where they're at, or if they can have an inventory of any signage that needs to be repaired. But for the most part, recent, I think Leslie and her group, they take care of most of the signage. And anything like that, I believe, federal signing as well. I'll check with Weeson and see if they cover federal signing as well.
they don't.
No?
No, the county or Houston does not deal, because if I say the ICW gets a, marker 8 gets knocked down, they don't deal with that. The Coast Guard has to come out and replace that marker.
So all the 8 tons in the back bay is Coast
Anything
Guard
that's the
responsible?
ICW or,
Yeah, ICW.
is all federal.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Is the back bay part of the ICW?
I don't think so.
So.
But-
I think ICW goes out to the.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
entrance
But the
line.
federal markers go into the bay, so the ones to the center of where the field is are federal, the big obvious federal markers.
Right.
And everywhere else that isn't a federal marker, the county pretty well, and they got like 2,000 of them or something.
So if you look at a marker
Right.
and it has a triangle,
Sure.
and it's yellow reflective triangle on it, it's federal. That's the ICW.
Right, I understand that.
And you'll see that, every marker that you see with that on there is gonna be
Yeah.
federal.
The Kansas Pass ones are also federal,
Right.
right?
I
From
think
the-
so.
To the shrimp channel.
Yeah,
But if I'm in the back bay, if I'm off
no,
Snook Lake,
that's county,
that's county.
yep. And all those are up as far as I know.
They're all replaced.
Are all the current speed zones marked entering and exiting the speed zones? Are those all up to date so that
All-
people
Yep.
know where to speed and not to speed?
County worked hard. I
Yeah.
mean, they really, those guys.
So there's no excuse for speeding in the back bay now?
Oh, no.
Because everything's
No.
everything's marked in the appropriate places?
The Hayes, I think, spent probably 2 months
Yep.
putting in about 300 to 400 signs.
They only have 2 guys, and they
Yeah,
got it done.
yeah,
They got the funding and they got it done.
yeah.
It would be nice if the rental agencies had a map with the speed zones on it. I don't know whether there's any way.
They do.
We do.
Yeah, they hand them
In
out.
fact, I've got one.
But
right
does it
here.
have the speed zone?
Yeah, they hand them out. I know Fishtail does and Snookbite does.
Oh,
And,
okay.
Why don't
and
they
Salty
educate,
Sam's.
what is slow speed? You know, it's a little confusing for people. What's slow speed? What's idle speed? You know, I mean, there is confusion there for.
The ones at the rental, I know Freedom Boat Club does, they give them out, it's got all the, it does distinguish between slow and idle, and it's got them all marked on there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So your
If anybody looks at them.
Your idle's gonna be fast enough to keep the boat maneuverable. Slow speed is gonna be enough to where the bow isn't pushed up.
And we're pretty much slow speed everywhere except for under the bridge, and the bridge is idle, right?
I think it's 500 feet within any public fuel docks, 500 feet within any public
Is
ramp.
it, I don't see that marked. Is that marked?
It
on-
doesn't say
Yeah.
that. That's inside the county ordinance.
I don't think that's marked.
It's
yeah.
not. I don't think it has to be marked. I mean, it's more of a common sense thing.
Yeah, courtesy.
Yeah. And, but it is in our county ordinance that, you know, is it 100 feet or, I think it's 100
It
feet.
might be 100. The way that they did it, they pretty much have a zone back here starting at the point, and then wherever that starts, I think they had put signs up, because there's kind of a buffer zone, a slow zone before you actually come into like Moss Marine, who supplies fuel to the public, which will give it an idle speed, and then the bridge is an idle speed, and then any public ramps.
And diversified's right there.
Yeah,
So there's a
Diversified's
lot of fuel docks. I don't know if the first diversified's got their fuel docks running, do they?
I think 2 days ago, they were going, and they expected to have pump outs going in 2 weeks, which will help us out. All right, anything else? Any other questions?
So we do have another agenda item that if you can just stick around for that next one.
Great information, thank you.
Yeah, very good.
If you guys have any, I got business cards I can give to all you guys afterwards. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always call me, email me, or, Austin and I stay in touch at least twice a month, you know, at least. So.
Just as an update, we did get our WCIND grant, our WeSend grant for Marine Patrol for LCSO. That's been executed, and Lieutenant Nice has been on the ball, scheduling extra patrols for weekends and holidays, is my understanding. So it's all going.
Hey, Chad.
So it really does help us out a lot in the back bay and getting things in order and all of our issues straightened out that we have. We do turn it in for questions as well. When we do have any questions about moving forward with any legalities, we rely on them to kind of give us some guidance, so we don't step on our own toes or stumble over anything. So I do appreciate these guys coming out and helping us every time that they do.
Hey, Chad, do you want to skip to the next item that he can do so he can finish up and get out of here?
Yeah, so that's going to be anchored vessels.
Yeah, so let me go over an anchored vessel report. We just pulled an anchored vessel report a couple days ago. Basically, we send the boat out to our jurisdiction, which is 1,000 feet out from the island, and we just do an inventory of all the boats that we do have in the area, and then the characteristics of those boats. I think last time we had, I think, about 25. We've grown up to 27 at this time. We do have characteristics as far as them pumping out. We have 10 boats occupied currently that are anchored outside of the mooring field, but in our jurisdictions. Out of 10 of those, 5 of those are pumping out, so 5 of them are not pumping out. We have 18 vessels with non-pump outs, but those include the non-occupied vessels as well. So on top of that, we've got, I think about 17 non-occupied, I'm sorry, but pretty much we've got about 27 vessels out back that we've been monitoring. And like I said, any characteristics where they do come at risk or any indication of derelict, we'll call Detective Smith and have those issues resolved as well. As far as that goes, we did bring up a webinar that Chad and I were a part of with the Florida Bar Association over ALAs, what is anchor limitation areas, and the advantages of having anchor limitation areas in our area and getting our area designated as an anchorage limitational area, which will limit anchoring in that area, and then it will regulate the boats coming in. It gives us better violation, gives us just better teeth to regulate the waterways that are currently we have. he can write as many violations to those boats and they'll just stick around. With this, there's a lot of speculations and stuff like that, that falls into actually getting these boats labeled as nuisance vessels and have them removed out of our area. But if you want to go into more depth in basically everything that was covered with that, and he'll give you the characteristics of what it takes to get the nuisance vessels and stuff like that.
Right, so yeah, so it provides the ALA anchored limited area is, it's statute 327.4108, if anybody wants to look it up. As Austin was saying, it provides a regulatory framework for anchored and moored vessels in a jurisdiction. Only counties can do it. So we would be beholden to the county. We're looking for direction from the committee to advise council on whether that's something you would like staff to pursue with county. It does provide a framework where if you have 3 citations, we had an at-risk vessel that we called Lieutenant Nice late last year. You know, they got out there right away. You know, they anchored in a county park, or not even anchored there, on land in a county park, and you know that's a at-risk situation. He keeps on doing that. Now we have a framework. If there was an ALA established to label him a public nuisance and have that vessel removed from the area. There's a lot of nuances. Submerged land ownership's important in there. It's got to be adjacent to urban area, which we would qualify for. Max of 100 acres and max of 10% of county's navigable waterway. So again, the things that we have to work with the county. But Tony, one question: does the county have any ALAs established, or are they working on any of that to your knowledge? Or
I'm not sure.
okay, that's one of my questions. So again, looking for direction from this committee whether or not you'd like to advise the town council on whether or not staff should pursue, at least start a dialogue with the county. I'm not sure if that would be DNR, probably DNR with the county, and get that going to see if that's something we can chase up, and then it would eventually, if it is pursued, go up to the commissioner level to approve an interlocal agreement with the county as the, I don't know if it'd be called sponsoring the town or establishing the ALA for the town to regulate or facilitate, or whatever the right verb is.
Do we have any comments?
If you establish an ALA, do you set up signage, or is it listed on the chart from then on?
I would guess yes and yes.
Yeah, so in the statute it says signs will be provided reasonable notice for voters, identifying duration of time which anchoring is limited, and identify the county ordinance by which the anchoring limitation area is created.
And does it go on a chart eventually?
I would imagine yes, sir.
Thanks.
I'd be for that myself,
What's the
having witnessed.
disadvantage? What are the disadvantages to creating an ALA?
It is, everything is, you know, y'all pay taxes for us to spend our time to work for y'all, so it's another thing that we're adding. It's another thing on our plate, you know, whether or not, you know, additional staff would be needed. These are all things that would go into us just getting directed. So a lot of the answers to these kind of questions would be, you know, if y'all want us to start doing, you know, putting time into answering these types of questions. But the disadvantages are it's staff time, it's county time, it's another thing on our plate, but it's, for us, it seems like it'd be a good tool to help us with our derelict vessel issue. As you know, as Officer Smith said, that we're one of the hot spots for derelict vessels, and just be another tool in our toolbox to help regulate, especially with 3 citations, you're a public nuisance. You know, you can't stay here all year long, you have to move out in, I think it's like 6 months or something to that. There's a lot of things that give us some teeth to regulate anchored vessels in our jurisdiction.
I would entertain a motion to, for our committee to recommend to council to start discussions with Lee County on designating the jurisdictional area of the town of Fort Myers Beach, which is 1,000 feet, I think, as a anchorage limitation area.
Second.
Put my name on that motion as.
So motion made
Paul will. Motion made.
and second. Do we have a second
I can just second it.
for discussion?
Ms. King?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think based off staff recommendation, I think that's what we should do.
Is there a recommended geographical area? I see a problem.
That's something we'd work out with, Lee County, Austin's knowledge of where the issues are at with law enforcement. I mean, all these are great questions. We don't necessarily have the answers right now. I could shoot from the hip, but I'd be guessing.
Yeah, depending on the geographical location. We have a dinghy dock that's open to the public, and we're trying to encourage the responsible boaters to come here. And if it's a 3-mile dinghy ride from where they can anchor, we want to still encourage people that are going to go by the rules to be able to use our dinghy docks and to anchor off, and maybe still have some kind of buffer area for the mooring field, and discourage the derelict. I don't know how you do that geographically.
Basically, that's what the ALA would establish. It's a 45-day anchoring within a 6-month period. So basically, these vessels would have to be mobile. It wouldn't give them time to be derelict. The biggest problem that we have is people coming into this area with no set time, with a working good boat. 2 years later, that boat's in derelict and it's sinking.
So it's not an off limits, it's a more stricter rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, it establishes time limits. We can forward you the committee.
Okay, so it's not totally off
statute.
limits
Yeah.
for anchoring, it's
No.
just you have to have stricter rules
Yeah.
than just the general anchoring.
Yeah, so it goes like, I believe it's a 6-month time limit where they have to move, I think it's a mile.
One nautical mile.
1 nautical mile away, and, it just, so they have to be, to Officer Smith's, they have to be able to give power and move. They can't just be, a defunct houseboat with no motor.
Makes his enforcement a lot easier. Would it make your enforcement a lot
My
easier?
suggestion is, on that, is we want to encourage as many people as possible visiting our area to use the balls. You don't want them,
Right.
you know what I mean? Because that's when they do become a problem.
Right.
Most of the vessels that are on the walls of the city are not the problem.
Right.
They're good people bringing money to the area.
Yep, yeah, and I don't see this as dissuading, prohibiting good law-abiding voters. This is just more, it'll give teeth for the issues that we have. And also going with the county may say, hey, not only is your little slice of pie in front of Fort Myers Beach an issue, it goes into Hurricane Pass, or there's other areas where we have the same issues, and it may be one bigger continuous ALA that the county's interested in, and then we have our little slice that's part of that. So it's something that's really new, so it doesn't surprise me that nothing's been established yet, but it is something that we have to go through the county to get established.
Anybody else using it around the state?
There are some examples that we can send, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's all covered in the ordinance Chad gave at the beginning. If you look that ordinance up, it's gonna take you over to the online Sunshine, and it just runs down every speculation of that ordinance, and it does cover the counties that currently do have ALAs.
327 dot.
Let's see, we said 327.
4108.
4108, just Florida statute.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, are you able to have people come in just for the weekend, anchor up on the balls and for a weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect for people just even traveling the area, coming to see the area.
It's like, it's an 89-room hotel out on the water.
So basically how we're working it, that's what the front field is set up for. As soon as we get fully established, there'll be characteristics for the systems that we use. We have the entry field, the center field, and the back field now. Basically, we'll use those two characteristics of the boaters. Of course, tall masts have to stay on the outside, but typically, short-term stays are gonna stay outside of the bridge there. Kind of people staying longer stay mid, and then wet storage and long-term will be in the back of the field, just so that we can centralize usage of the field better.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion? I probably should
All in
vote
favor?
individually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, your vote?
My vote is yes.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Unanimous. We are going to recommend to council to look into this anchorage limitation area. Sounds very beneficial in maintaining the quality of the area.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Next item is strategic action plan.
All right, so I know there's a lot of discussion with the engineer at the last meeting and talking about our needs and wants. We are adding balls. Austin's been doing a great job. He's out there. It's been a Herculean effort for him to get this temporary dock in place with what he had. I don't know if anybody appreciates that, but it's absolutely Herculean effort. And then, getting these systems in while we have supply chain issues and, shortage of resources with the contractor's been experiencing with his, human resources. Austin stepping up and getting these systems in place. All great news. So kudos to Austin on that. Having said that, we have, so we're increasing our need for pump outs with the additional systems. Every time he adds systems, he's getting more boats in there, as well as marinas are needing pump outs from us because we're
the sole provider right now of a pump out service on the island,
We have
so
a-
it's overloading.
Yeah, we have the Coast Guard with its crocodile boat, which is I don't know how many gallons.
300 gallon.
So it's a massive strain on our pump out resources right now. So it's kind of it's a red flag right now. We need to start thinking about a facility that can pump out the boat directly into the Lee County sewer system so that it's not this, pay the septic truck $400 every time, which we're getting reimbursed for, but they can't even come out, they can't keep up with our schedule, they have, everything's happening. So a dedicated facility is paramount right now to get that pump out boat a direct connect to the sewer system. I know there's a lot of consternation of where that's at. We're a little, residential areas are a touchy subject. Every time we've done, we've done our own feasibility study where we're looking at all the properties that we own, whether it's the North Tower. We have agreements with FDOT underneath the bridge, but there's a lot of moving parts there, and we have to partner with FDOT. There's a big construction project that's gonna be happening soon. How does that delay any kind of permanent facility that we may or may not be able to work out with FDOT? There's Virginia Street with an easement that goes into the canal. There's behind Town Hall, the old Town Hall, which, again, neighborhood issues, and, we're not gonna have Town Hall there anymore, or we may not have Town Hall there anymore. So Bay Oaks, mangrove environmental issues. So there's all of these challenges, but we can't wait another cycle. If we just do a feasibility study and try and say, let's talk about it for another year, we're putting it off a whole nother year where we're trying to do design and permitting. And then, so we're talking 3-4 years away, and, the need is yesterday to get these things done. Yes, sir.
So, moving ahead, I think what we're saying, what needs to happen is Lee County needs to extend their wastewater collection system to some point where you have some sort of pump station or lift station that you can discharge your boat into. And you need a location
I don't know if
for
that necessarily
that.
falls on Lee County. It's more of us figuring out where we want our facility as a town to be, and everybody hold hands and let's go with it, because it's right now it feels like death by committee, where there's not a will to just establish it and this is it and we need to go.
Chad, is it bifurcated in that, or you're just talking about the lift station, or are you talking about all the mooring,
Talking about the whole
facilities?
Yeah,
offshore-
so, to
onshore
Austin's
facility.
point, I was listening again to last month's meeting. I don't think we should just think about, all our eggs in one basket. We're gonna need dinghy facilities throughout the island. What is it, Fishtail by Publix?
Yeah.
So Fishtail by Publix is a great,
Snook Bite.
it's not even our Snook Bite, it's not even our facility, but they're very boater friendly, gives a dinghy facility to our patrons as well as any other anchored vessels to go and, access Publix. We have, a dinghy facility by Bay Oaks, we have a dinghy facility under the bridge. Maybe there's other places for dinghy facilities. We need a place for our vessels. That doesn't necessarily have to be where all the dinghy facilities are, we can put that at a different area. But wherever we decide to put the pump out boat mooring area, there needs to be a sewage connection that can pump out that boat. And I know that, you know, everybody, you know, there's a lot of consternation with the neighborhood and being next door to that, but it's a clean facility. I mean, you know, every house is producing sewage.
Well, some of the concerns were related to the upland facilities,
Right.
not necessarily the pump.
Yeah, so we need to, and then, yeah, to your point, so where the public is being invited in and to do it, that needs to be the right area there. Maybe that's better under the bridge, or maybe that's better near the town hall facility or some kind of public facility where it's not a neighborhood, nuisance, yeah, with transients coming in and out. And I don't mean transients in a negative way, but, you know, it causes people, you know, strangers are around your neighborhood, you don't necessarily want that. So we need to have the right uses in the right areas. But a place where we can have vessel mooring area with a sewage connection, you know, and harbor master facilities. I mean, these guys, you know, Austin is shoulder deep in that pump out boat, you know, that's just been pumping out that day. And he has, you know, his cleaning facilities to go and wash off after are very limited right now. You know, I mean, they need facilities to do their job yesterday. Yes, sir.
I'll go first and then you. I mean, I know we've been talking about shore facilities a lot, and we need that, but does the pump out boat and the sanitary facility need to be at the exact same place? Could we initiate a wastewater system that's connected to Lee County's sewer system independently of talking about the shore facilities so that we can get it done quicker?
Yes, but I think in talking with the coastal engineer and with Austin, where we moor the pump out vessel should be yeah, and that's, you know, that's the only thing. So if we get those two things and decide on a spot for that, or just direction from council or to council, hey guys, you know, let staff figure this out and put it in front of you. We support getting this facility done for town staff to do their job, because it's needed. Yes,
This
sir.
may be for Jim. Which candidates are closest to being shovel-ready for something like that?
In
For
terms of what,
either just,
town-owned property?
yeah, or just candidates in general?
Everywhere has its challenges.
Well, back to Doug's question, though, it sounds like the harbor master facility and the pump out facility need to be together, but does that need to be at the same place as the upland facilities where the laundry and the?
No, it does not need to be at the same facility, and you don't necessarily need a harbor master office facility where the pump out facility is. It's just the vessel mooring itself, the boat lift and the sewer pump with the Lee County Sewer Connect should be in one area.
I ask that because a lot of the concerns of the Tropical Shore folks was the boat traffic along
Right.
the canal. So if it's just the pump out boat going, it's a little different than having a bunch of folks going
Yeah.
back and forth.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing to communicate with the stakeholders that are in the area is, you know, these are the uses. You don't want transients in this area. We hear you. We'll keep them, you know, downtown and you know, put dinghy docks where it's appropriate to do so.
I think that's a important strategic decision for us to think about, because I think our resistance comes down quite a bit because people are now viewing these canals as private canals. I know they're not, but people view them that way, and it creates a lot of pushback.
Sure.
But again, if it's just the pump out boat going, you know, once or twice a day, that's different than having a bunch of strangers going back and forth and they, you know, whatever the traffic is.
I actually think it might be nicer not to have it at the same location.
That could be
To have
too.
it
Yeah, there may be advantages to them, yeah.
And all these parcels
you're,
are small, so, you know, physically, we just may not be able to have, you know, 30 feet of seawall or whatever at the north tower, for instance.
And then also keep in mind how we are going to operate the field as far as placement and assignments of these transient vessels or whoever it may be. The most focus of what I would like to do is put most people coming in and out, the high active boaters, up in the front of the field to keep them out of the residential area and things like that, up front of the bridge and up front towards the bridge. So they would mostly utilize the marinas in the area, utilize our public dock and anything within that area. They tend to come into town, use the docks multiple times. We see them right now coming in and out. As soon as they come to town, they're back and forth, back and forth. As soon as people get established and settled, the dinghy traffic tends to settle down, or if it's wet storage, you never see those people. So that's where we'd like to clump them in and keep in mind what parcels we have available and then how we're utilizing that field as well. The problem with the Tropical Shores one and that will be mostly for wet storage, people not really going out to their boats. It won't be a high traffic area. The high traffic is gonna be more towards the business area of town where we would put people coming and going and coming and going. Everybody that's kind of long-term, low-key boaters, we would keep in the back more in a residential area and a quieter area, if that makes sense. So that's where I would like our amenities not to be centralized, because you take away from each boater if you just make one spot. That boater right next to it is gonna have it great, but everybody else is gonna wanna come right there because it's easier for them. Just this morning, I got a call about a lady that wants to move closer because she lost her dinghy engine. Now she's got a paddle in, but she wants me to move her closer to the dock. It's just things like that where if we had multiple docking areas, then it wouldn't be an issue. If that makes sense.
Well, maybe this is all tied together, but it seems to me that if we can find a location that we have to coordinate with Lee County Utilities,
There will be a
you could
hookup.
do your pump out. It doesn't have to be where we look for, and it might be preferable if it's not. It doesn't have to be the same place that we have shore facilities in the future or multiple facilities like Austin's talking about. So I think if your priority is pump out, I think we should recommend coordinating with Lee County Utilities and finding a spot where you can both dock your pump out boat and offload it into the sewer system. Which I think that challenge could be decoupled from your other challenges and make it more quicker to deal with. And I don't see any reason why they have to be coupled.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good recommendation.
So I think.
Is the water tower property big enough, have enough waterfront to do something like that?
Yeah, we pulled the boat up there before. We've used it in the past. It needs to be dug out some. Since the storm, we had washover on it, and there is some damage to the seawall, so there will have to be some repairs over there. But it's a suitable spot to put the boat. We could easily put a lift in there and keep it out of the water to keep the growth off of it and just keep it down like that.
So
But that does have
And some kind of finger dock going out into there?
Yeah, so we need to talk to Lee County about extending a wastewater
There's
collection system.
you have sewer lines that are there. You have to run something probably to the street that we would do on our property, but the sewer line is there. It's
Yeah,
a
so
sewer
just a
connection like
connection,
any other.
so you need like a lateral connection,
Yeah.
and then you can discharge right to the
Yeah.
county system, which is
Yeah,
what,
we've been exploring that, and that's been my #1 spot for that boat, but it is a water tower and it is a secure location, so that's been presenting an obstacle for us.
Is there any, aside from the water tower being there, which I'm told is not a long-term dynamic, that eventually will go away, but in the short term, is there any other downside to that location? Are there neighbors that would have concerns? Is there anybody that you would bother?
We can go and speak with them and do some,
Yeah, we enjoy talking to them and letting the public know exactly what we're doing and get the feedback from the public to let them know, because that's what's hindered us in the past is the non-information getting out and the speculations of what we are doing has kind of hindered us in the past. So talking with the public and getting their feedback, that's not an issue
Just
at all.
being transparent is so
Yeah.
critical through this.
Do we need any kind of zoning change on that, or that's already set? Because
it's
it's
already,
already
I think it's already
municipal?
zoned as institutional.
The
Yeah,
other con would be us interfering with the utilities as well. And that's just interfering with any equipment and stuff like that that they may need to get in there to operate. But other than that, we shouldn't, I mean, it's just a question of concern. It's not an actual issue that we'll be operating on the seawall with minimal traffic through their area. So that's what we're-
I mean,
I don't
Doug,
see how
that
that
shouldn't
couldn't be worked
adversely
out.
affect the water utility.
It's just been brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think, that's a very big tower, keeping that area clean for heavy equipment to service it while we still do need to service it. But I agree with you, a lateral sewer line that, that can be buried, and then we're on boat lift in the water. To me, it's minimal impact, but.
Can the committee get back there? In other words, do you guys have to go and open the fence to let people, in other words, could people have a chance to go back? I've never been back there.
It is a Homeland Security secured facility, so you have to get approval, I believe, to get back there. It is a water supply station.
So the approval comes through the Lee County utility then, or?
No,
I'll talk to utilities and
the
see
town owns
exactly
the
what it
water
would take
system,
to
the
get a
water
tour through
distribution
there.
system.
I'm sorry?
That facility there is owned by the town's water utility.
The town owns it, yep.
Yeah, Lee County provides the water wholesale.
Well,
to the
would
town.
we need, if we got you credentialed to be back there, we wouldn't need anybody else back there other than service people anyways, right?
Yeah, we can ask the questions and see if we can.
Yeah, but I'd like to see if the committee can do a tour back there, yeah. I'd love to see it too, yeah.
Why don't we arrange that tour back there, but I think that's like sounds to me like that's a location for your pump out boat. And we can connect to the sewer system.
Austin, do you have a power connection that you need for your lift?
That station there it runs huge amperage pumps. So we have more than enough amperage for the pump that we need there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to run the lift?
Oh, yeah, the lift too, I'm sorry. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue with the lift.
So if the committee would like to just entertain a motion to support staff to pursue,
Do I hear a
mooring,
motion?
a vessel mooring area, in conjunction with a pump facility to service the pump out boat and connecting with the Lee County sewer system, is what staff is looking for.
I would make the motion just elucidated by our staff.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, no, do you hear us?
You're making a motion,
Yeah.
you second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
If you could arrange a tour, that might be interesting.
Yes, sir, we'll probably have to call like a special meeting since y'all, sunshine laws and all that kind of stuff, that shouldn't be a big deal, and whoever's available, and if you're not available, we can do FaceTime or Zoom or something like that to.
And Chad, I hate to do this to Jacob, but Jacob's a victim of his own competency, but if we did have a special meeting, just for public transparency, it might be nice to have Jacob come remotely. He does great camera work, because then the public could see what we're seeing, and it might help from a transparency standpoint.
Maybe on a Friday afternoon or something.
Or if it's delayed too long after next month's meeting,
Yes, sir.
or sooner if possible, probably.
Sound like something we should address sooner from your priorities.
I know we're past discussion on it, but I'm just curious, I mean, you kind of we justified a little bit with the crocodile and with the marinas that we're pumping out, the additional waste that you're getting from that. Is that a long-term thing, do we expect?
Great questions.
Yeah, right now, it all is falling on Moss Marine and their capabilities right now. They do have on site a peristaltic modular pump, which has to be pushed over and carted around, and it only has the capacity, I believe, of 40 to 50 gallons. So they don't have much capabilities right now to do much of their marinas. Diversified, I called them, they have pump out signs they just put up, so they said that within 2 weeks their peristaltic pump should be up and operational. But other than that, I do not have a timeline on any other services being opened up for pump outs. I know Salty Sam's has a pump, which I'll have to update because last time they were having electrical issues with it. So right now, I know within the next 2 months, we should be relieved somewhat, especially with the truck coming down. We typically would just go to Diversified and discharge at Diversified, and with them coming up in the next week or so, we should have another, we should be able to eliminate the truck coming down and pump it up on island. But as far as vessels going in there and pumping out themselves, there's no, I don't see a relief anytime soon.
What is a peristaltic pump?
Oh, I'm sorry. So like
your intestines.
Yeah. So it's just,
it's
it's a tube with rollers. It just rolls the pump and creates a
Squeezes
section.
it.
So it can do some solids.
Yeah.
It's a solids pump.
Yeah. We use a diaphragm pump on our boat. It's just like a plunger pump that goes up and down. So that's
Well, I think in the long run, though, regardless, you need to be able to discharge directly to the sewer
Yes.
system and not have tank trucks driving around.
we have looked into it and explored the peristaltic pumps. At the time, the county rejected our request to put it in where we have. Since then, we've been trying to work with them and get an approval, but I think what your suggestion was to go to them and ask them, where can we put it? We've just been shooting at it and going, can we put it here, can we put it here, can we put it
Well,
here?
if you've got a sewer line in that roadway right near there anyway,
Yeah.
shouldn't be a complication to extend it.
That's what I was under the impression as well of, especially at the last request we did, but they denied it. So I don't know what the issue is. Us hooking up under the bridge. Yeah.
Well,
Too many
I think we
agencies
need
to
to
go
invest
through.
this location.
It was just the county sewage line, and they said that no, it wasn't doable.
Well, they may have reasons why
Yeah.
that was a bad location, but it sounds like where you are should be doable.
Yeah, should be.
Just a thought, if I might. You presented this as a two-part thing. You are very interested in getting further advanced for the overall projects of, and were you asking for encouragement in that area, in other words, for the facilities and all the other things? Or were you going just for the pump out? I heard your presentation as including other things. Was that,
Yeah, so as far as, as far as facilities, I think things are complicated until, there's a little bit more, direction on where town hall is gonna be and the upcoming,
Yeah.
you know.
I think,
Once we know that, it's gonna be a lot easier. Right now, it's,
I think in general, we
it's kinda like
support
the weather. If you don't like it,
Yeah.
just wait a day and it's changed. So we're waiting for some stability on, finding out where we're gonna be, what's available, and then working with you and the public to see, what activities and uses we want where.
Any preference from our liaison?
Well, I think, just off the cuff, without having seen any detailed research or recent research, I love where the upland facilities are now under the bridge. I think it's close to all the action. It doesn't seem to bother anybody. We never get any complaints. I know there's a lot of logistic issues with our host and the instability of it, the fact that we're not in control. But when you guys were, right before the storm, when things were coming together, it was really a nice operation.
Yeah.
I know we didn't have complete control over it because we didn't own the facilities, but it really seemed to be working pretty well.
Yeah,
So-
they work really well with us.
So
yes.
if it isn't broke, in that dynamic, and I know that we don't have long-term ownership of it, which is challenging, but in the interim, that seems pretty good.
And we can also pursue conversations with FDOT to see what they
Exactly.
might be amenable to under the bridge. I agree, that central location, everybody wants to go downtown, that's where that's where the economy is at for us to send people, our 89-room hotel patrons, and inject some money into our economy.
That's just my thought, but I'm always open for suggestions.
are we ready to move on to the next item, marketing, the
Yes, sir.
MMF? What's the MMF? I forgot. Reading this right. Marketing the MMF.
Matanzas Mooring Field.
Okay, Matanzas Morningfield, thank you.
Yeah, and then just real quick, I know there was a call in the last meeting to go over the financials. I've been working with our finance director, Austin and I have, and if it pleases the committee, if we can just wrap our head around the numbers just a little bit more and go to the next meeting, push that on to the next meeting.
Okay.
That hasn't been forgotten, just wanted to address that with the strategic plan.
All right.
But we are seeing positive things, and I think with the projections that we're anticipating, we're feeling optimistic about financials and once we get back online and how the mooring field being not only an environmental impact to the town, but also an economic benefit to the town. So going on to marketing.
Can we invite Joe to our next meeting? Is that what you're going to try to do?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Okay.
So going on to marketing, staff has been real busy with getting all these systems installed and just the legwork and the grunt work of the dinghy dock and all that. So we haven't completed this project as much as we would like to by this meeting. Having said that, what we're doing, or what our plan is to, we're surveying and compiling a database of businesses, and not trying to step on the Chamber of Commerce's toes, but our direction is more, what boater niches do these businesses and facilities offer to the mooring field patrons. So it's a little bit of a spin on what you would typically get from the Chamber of Commerce, and just compiling, you know, again, hey, Fishtail, you know, welcomes dinghies right next to Publix. Snook Bite. Snook Bite offers these, you know, it's boater dinghy friendly, you know, come in, they offer these marina services for your boat, et cetera, and compiling that for the businesses. Hey, restaurants, what promotions make sense for your business that you want us to let our patrons know about? Hey, you know, Margaritaville, you know, are there day passes, or Pink Shell, are there day passes that you want us to? So what business promotions that make sense for those businesses do you want us to pass on, and what services do you want that you offer to boaters do you want us to pass on to the Matanzas mooring field patrons? Is the marketing, and
So that's basically something you give out to boaters when they're registered?
well, I think everything's so digital these days. So, you know, our focus is what can we put in front of them. So getting it on our website, getting it into the social, and keeping it top of mind that way. More paper.
Because currently there's a waiting list for the mooring field, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll go into that over the report, but yeah, we do have a wait list.
Because when I think of marketing, I feel like that we're trying to get more people to come and stay at our hotel. And if we have a waiting list, marketing might just be a waste of money at this point.
Right. So we don't necessarily see. So we're not going to be spending any hard costs. There might be soft costs with time, but it's not only marketing the mooring field, but it goes back to that mooring field being a benefit to the town, and not only the town, you know, Fort Myers Beach, but the town, the people, the businesses, et cetera, and having that economic benefit. So marketing those businesses, what benefits do they have to the mooring field, and getting that economic stimulus that the mooring field can offer. So,
Yeah, what I'm kind of hear you saying is you're marketing the mooring field to the patrons of the mooring field, but also to the town, commercial parts of the town, like, hey, this mooring field helps you too. And how can you
Exactly.
support the mooring field?
Well,
Because
it's not only that, but recognition of the mooring field. I don't believe a lot of people even realize we have a mooring field and
Yeah.
what it does, or that the benefits that it does bring to the town. And I believe this marketing campaign will put us on the map as somebody who is beneficial to the town, like Chad was saying. It's not just about the finances and stuff, it's about building a community and letting the community know that we do have visitors coming in by water, and how they do it in the unique way that they do.
and by the way, Austin and his team, just a little marketing for his team. They won the Owner's Choice Award for marina.com for 2023. And I mean, you just start going down those testimonials, and you know, it's one after another, reflecting how good of a job that they're doing, maintaining and the services that they offer to the patrons.
Yeah, I think we have 74 reviews with the 5-star review. We do have some where we've come up short, where we couldn't able to provide systems because we were overbooked, but we'll have that. But for the most part, we are the most highly reviewed, I guess, marina / mooring field on that website, and we do hold the highest review.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
But yeah, to your point, definitely marketing. How are we benefiting the businesses and residents of the town by the mooring field? Yes, sir.
Chad, I'm just curious, I mean, I agree it's a niche, thing that you're talking about within the businesses, in terms of how it services, the mooring field. But why wouldn't we use the Chamber of Commerce? I mean, they have resources, people there. I mean, it seems like they would be a great place to go and say, you do a lot of the work for us.
Yeah,
Tell
they
us.
do. Yeah,
Okay.
they're telling us what businesses are open.
Okay, they are. Okay, I
Yeah,
misunderstood.
I've been in touch with
Okay.
Miss Jackie and pinging her a little bit. We definitely need to spend some more time with her, to your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I think
But
they can help.
absolutely, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. That was kind of my point. It's just more adding that one more facet to that database of, services and offer to the boating
Yeah.
community.
Perfect.
Yep.
We ready to move on to members' items?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That was good discussion.
Thank you so much.
Any,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
thank you, sir. That was very
Do
informative.
you have those cards you mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah, leave us some cards.
And I've got an 11 o'clock meeting that I may dash out as well, since we're.
Well, maybe we can wrap up.
Yeah,
Have any member comments?
I have none.
My email's on there. It's probably
I have just a quick one for Austin. I drove over the bridge and that center field has a lot of boats in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go over that in a report here in a minute.
Okay. That's what I was gonna ask. Are you gonna, he'll give us a report after our member items? The staff report.
And we have,
Thank you.
yeah, we don't have the staff report on here,
No, I don't know where that
The
is.
staff reports after member items.
but,
Was
I
that
have a
taken off
question.
the?
I just have one quick question.
Go ahead, Chris, go first.
Can you give us an update on the grants that we're applying for, and maybe that's gonna be part of your comments, Austin?
Grants, yeah.
I can real quick. Yeah, so like I said, the WCIND grant has been executed, and we're working with Officer Nice to add additional patrols as needed, and giving some just enforcement priorities, which are already their priorities. So things like anchored vessels, speeding in manatee zones, etc. So that's going well. We're still working with coastal engineering consultants and strategizing. That's part of the reason why, with the strategic planning and the things that we're talking about, planning for these FWC grants and the federal grants that are coming up. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. We want to try and get as shovel ready as possible, because it's a competitive grant, and we can ask for $100,000, but if they have a project that's ready to go and we're trying to still decide on where we're going to put it, we're just never going to get money for it. So working with coastal engineering, this committee, and town council to get those grant applications ready to go is a priority for us, and that's going to be one of my top priorities for the next month, working with Austin and coastal engineering to make us as competitive as possible for what we need for the mooring field.
Not only that, our CBA grant is ongoing.
Yep.
We do have a report due this week, so we are getting our numbers put together to turn that in. And then we are communicating with CBA to see if we can get some help with the pump out situations and the overloading that we are experiencing at the current time.
Austin, have you got a report for us?
I have a question
Oh,
for
yes, sir.
Austin. We've been told that the town has lost all the records from any dredging that's been done.
I'm not sure. I do have to check into that and look to see where our dredging records are or what we did have on file. But like I said, anything that would be, I think, 10 years or more, it really doesn't constitute any back information for moving forward. Like we mentioned before, as far as dredging, we did have a project going with some engineers. We do have depth analysis being done on all of our canals. Staff has gone out and got depth readings on every canal on the island as far as moving forward with collecting data for depths, so we can get more justification for dredging after events like this.
Has there been an effort to contact the companies that did the past dredging to see if they had any updated records? What I'm worried about is the town not being reimbursed.
Yeah, we are working with the actual contractors that had previously done the dredge, Hans Wilson, I believe, and they've sent out that contractor as well that we've been working with Chester to give us basically the how to get the depths accurately, and then the benchmarks set to give them the data so they can interpret it to give an average depth of what's going on.
So essentially the dredging hasn't been done in 10 years or less?
Plus.
So there's no chance for reimbursement?
I'm not too keen on how that works, but I do know that you do need to keep a record of your depths and of the characteristics of the canals in order to get your reimbursement, or to show any effects of any event that may happen.
Okay, and then,
I've been told because we did not have a program in place that we are not eligible for reimbursement.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we've established with the information and the data collection now, so that we do start it as of, we're not running into this situation again moving forward.
okay, just one more thing, and probably for the vice mayor. I think dredging is massively important for this, everybody who lives here. Has the council decided which committee they'd like to have handle the dredging process?
They have not. Our interim town manager put forward a report to the current town manager as to what all the options would be and how we could aggregate and spread those costs to all canal owners and create various systems for each canal to either choose to be part of it, the private canals versus most of them are public. But that has not been brought forward from the town manager, and I will follow up with the town manager to see where that's at. Because that's, as you say, not only an important issue, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, and I think all the committees are busy, and what more, can you take on? But I feel like this committee, with the knowledge that we have sitting here, and I think we're well positioned to take care of the dredging.
I proposed that to my colleagues about 2 months ago, and I had one of my colleagues who's no longer on the council suggest that it would be better for the MRF committee to handle that. I respectfully disagreed, and so but I think that hopefully we can move that, if that ball just goes forward, hopefully that, well, we've got to be careful what we wish for, but if that ball may come here, I think at this point, but yes.
Okay.
Are we talking dredging all the way out to San Carlos Pass?
I believe it would be starting in the canal systems. I'm not sure, based on the data collected and the benchmark set of what constitutes for dredge or not. So I'm not too sure basically how big that project would be. It's all based off of the data collected and the depths that are collected.
Because you have a part there that low tide is not feasibly passable.
Like I said, all the data and stuff like that, it will put forth as soon as we get the I don't know what you call it, but you get the information back that they compile, give us what our average is, and then recommend what they recommend for the dredging.
San Carlos Pass was dredged a few years ago, and as far as I know, it's still open.
Right at San Carlos is
Big Carlos Pass.
Big Carlos Pass. Oh, San Carlos. I'm sorry.
Big Carlos Pass here.
So at Big Carlos Pass, there is a seagrass protected area, which you may be referring to, which boats are not supposed to navigate through.
No, I'm talking about the channel, within the markers, the channel. And I wish I could give you the exact location. I can on a chart.
Yeah.
But there's a place where you're at speed and going right around the island, one of the bird islands, that goes down to 2 feet in low water.
Yeah, that's
And that
correct.
Yeah, and that's an issue from anyone on the north end trying to get to snook bite.
Gotcha.
Right, from San Carlos Pass.
Yeah, I'll have to see what you're talking to
Yeah.
and see if I can get some.
I mean, I've bumped it on my vessel, which has a 18-inch draft.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show you where it is.
Well, I think in previous meetings, we've established that our committee would be willing to
Yes.
take that on if the council wants us to.
That's my hope, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Someone's got to do it.
So what's the plan moving forward? Because I'm prepared to bring a couple of people into our meeting, next meeting, that have a pretty good experience of dredging processes, at least on the south end of town.
I see the town manager right there. Let me see if I can grab him real quick to see if he can update us. I don't want to put him on the spot, but excuse me 1 second.
Austin, does that conclude your comments?
Yeah, comments, but if you guys want the report, or you want to wait a
I
little
don't
bit?
know. But I think what we need to do is when we set the agenda for the next meeting, we need to add an item for the Harbor Master's report.
Oh, it's after the Members, items, and staff reports. It's on there right now. It's just not an itemized,
Oh, it is. It says staff report.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Oh, was that the, I'm sorry, was that the, yeah, I couldn't understand what you guys, but yeah, the staff report's
Oh,
on.
member items and staff reports together. I see it there now. I don't have my reading glasses.
Mr. Chair,
It used to be up
Yes, sir.
top, though, before we got into our
Yeah,
discussions.
could we yield briefly to our town manager for just to answer that canal dredging question, at least give
Yeah.
us an update? This is
Sure,
Andy
right.
Hyatt.
How are we?
We're recognizing Danny Hyatt, the town
Andy,
manager.
yeah.
Andrew? Yes. Thank you so much. Real briefly, we had Keith Wilkins had worked on a report, and so we're trying to find funding to help. We do know that we're about to embark on a grant applying mission to get funding so we can get into the canals. We've got 2 or 3, at least 2 local contractors have offered to help. We have to work through DEP. As you well know, there's a lot of moving parts when you start dealing with anything outside of on a beach or in the water. So we're going to be working through DEP, going to be working through some of those avenues to get these things accomplished. We did talk to FEMA in October. We had a gentleman that came in September. A gentleman came here from the Atlanta office. He came to us and he said, we started talking about the dredging, and of course everybody knows because the county and the town never did any maintenance or anything, it wasn't covered under FEMA, quote unquote, but he said, we think we can find some funding. However, as you well know with the government, the wheels grind, they just grind slowly. So but we continue to push and continue to grind to try to get those things accomplished. But we really, that's, you know, when I look at the canals just behind where I live and where we're working, when you see a dolphin come through right behind town hall, and he looks like a shark instead of a dolphin, you know the waters aren't very deep there. So we continue to work and continue to get that report in front of as many people as we can. I think, and Vice Mayor had mentioned coming through this group needs to be a big part of that. I think the voice, it makes a big difference as we go forward, as the support we get from you.
We paid for Laguna Shores already, so I wonder, is that money still sitting there waiting to be done?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
I would imagine so.
I thought that
Because
was-
usually it's dedicated for a particular fund.
But just to be clear, Steve, I thought that the previous administration, before Andy, refunded those
That's what I
dollars.
thought
Yeah.
too.
I knew there'd been some
They
refunds,
did.
They
but I
did,
don't.
yeah, they did.
I didn't get
I
my
don't,
refund.
you weren't there
Oh,
yet.
no, I'll check into that.
They really need to, yeah, because
I will
that
check
went
into
through their water bill, they refunded it. Everybody got a refund in Laguna Shores.
I knew there had been refunds, but I'll be happy.
I'll check on mine. I'll check
If
on
you
mine.
wouldn't mind, let's it not.
I bought a month before I paid like right at the,
Oh,
when they
you
did it.
definitely want to check on that. 'cause
Yeah, I
I
do
signed
wanna
the
check
check,
on
said,
that.
yeah, you should be getting a check, yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate all you do. Really, it means a lot to us to have.
Thank you.
follow
Thank
some
you.
rules.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We don't have any more public comments, so I think we're done for today.
I'm
Any
sorry.
other-
Can I run down my report real quick? I know I
Please.
got
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's no big deal.
I,
I just wanted to get it on the record of what's going on in the
Yeah,
field. I
absolutely.
noticed that you guys are noticing the boats coming over and stuff like that. Basically, what has happened is we've contracted out with American Underwater to have those systems put in. They've run into staffing issues. All right, they're trying to get over here. They've built all the systems, but they're not having any luck getting anybody to come over and put them in. Staff said we're well capable of doing it. They dropped off 40, I think about 26 systems now. I have all but 5 put in. So that's when you go over the bridge and you see all those boats. That's us staff. As the waiting list grows, we don't want to turn anybody away. So when those balls fill up, then I'll go out and put 5 more, 6 more out. However many I can with the weather conditions or the clarity conditions that I have. I've been having to cut my dive short. We did have clarity for a good 2 days. We had about 15 feet underwater, and that went down to almost negative during the storm. We got total blackout on the bottom, so we couldn't really work. As of today, we should have those last 5 put in as soon as this meeting's over. I'm gonna go ahead underwater and put those in. So we should be up to about 40 systems in the mooring field. And like I said, as soon as we put them in, they're filling up. So that's what you're seeing on the other side of the bridge is all of those systems filling up. We are having to I had to bypass maybe 2 systems because of debris. I just need a little more manpower on the boat to help me get that debris up, and that's what we'll be working on today, so we can get all of those systems put in. As far as the wait list goes, we do have a wait list, but the way that we work is we work on request only. This isn't like a hotel where you call up and reserve a system, or I'm sorry, reserve a room and that room's waiting for you. This is boating, and boating hardly ever goes to plan. So if we were to reserve these systems and hold them for boats, the boats always have weather issues, whatever boating occurs, that's what happens. So with the wait list, if they request it if they request it a year out or something like that, which some people do, we just wait list it, and then as those times get closer, we take them off the wait list, give them an assignment, and bring them into the field. Like I said, right now, we're pushing as many systems as we need to facilitate the people coming to this area, and as of right now, it seems to be almost magic. If we put 5 in, 4 boats show up that day. So it's just we're ongoing until we can't anymore, and then the wait list will grow until we get more systems in. But as of right now, that's where we're at with the mooring field, and that's what you're seeing on the other side of the bridge, is staff just taking it upon themselves to build the mooring field itself. We do have engineers coming out and doing inspections on these systems. We had Coastal Engineering coming out last week. They dove all of the anchor heads and marked anything that needs to be repaired. They're marking it. We have Coastal or American Underwater set up, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, to come down and do corrections and then finish the back part of the field, and then we can have that up going. We did lose a boat this last month. It went down on the back field. That was the one the officer was referring to, as far as somebody just pulled the boat in there and it went down. That's under investigation with them, so it's been boomed off and everything like that. As far as pump outs go, we're overwhelmed with pump outs right now. Like I said, we're the only one in the vicinity that is providing pump outs. Moss Marine, Diversified, Olson, and we are hitting a couple of the getaway marines because we just don't want people discharging in the water. So we're helping out as many marinas as we can, but it's hindering us in finding how to get rid of the waste. So we do have one company, but we seem to be overloading them with requests. So I'm trying to find multiple companies to come and help us relieve this issue that we have. We went over the anchored vessel report. We work with the anchored vessels and have communications with them. And I hate to villainize those people or anything. They're just trying to live the best they can. We're here to help them out the best we can, because any hindrance that they have, it falls on the town. If that boat sinks, if that boat's wasted, it's going overboard, we've got to deal with it prior. So we always try to help them out the best we can, give them answers and supply them with whatever they need to a reason to be safely in the water and to cause minimal impact to our area and then the residents as well. Occasionally we'll pull the trash off their boat for them or stuff like that and things like that, just to make sure that it doesn't end up in the water. Upland facilities is an ongoing thing. We do have ours under the we do have our bathrooms and showers and our laundry facilities up and going. We are seeing the dinghy dock being used daily. Everything's flowing. We're not really getting any complaints right now. We are getting a lot of compliments and things like that. You can go on the marina.com and really go over what people like about our area, and it kind of gives you an idea of what people are seeing when they come to our area. Some people write a lot, some people don't, but again, it gives you an idea of what we got. 1 through 3, let me just go over what we are being utilized right now, so it kind of gives you an idea. 1 through 3 is out there by Pink Shell. That's where the systems start. Coming back, we shut down 4 through 9, which we're working with Coast Guard to get those open back up. Permit conflict that we've gone over with too close to the channel, we're working with that. And then past that, we've got number 10 through 19 opened up right there. And then moving into the field, I've got number 20 to number hopefully 45 by the end of the day. But right now I have 39, 20 to 39, excluding 38, which we got to extract debris off of the anchor head. So hopefully I'll have those open today. Maintenance of the field is ongoing. We do checks every month on it. We still have the zincs down there. They're still about 80%, so they're still looking good. We do have reserves on those. It's not a big deal. Pump out boat is in full swing. Have no issues with it. Doing our 100-hour services on it and everything. Still exploring the grants. Other than that, everything's basically the same. All of our observation piers are still being used. We did close down the dock or the ramp at the end of Coconut down there, and that's still closed down. We're exploring grants and seeing how we can get that opened back up. Anchor limitation areas we went over, and then we're always pursuing new grants. But any other questions?
Also, I was just curious, as you were saying that, talking about pump outs and the boats that do and don't do pump outs. Why would anybody not do a pump out? Is it the money? I mean, it is, we should solve that maybe.
Yeah, I really don't, I don't know. It's $5,
Yeah.
you know, that's all we charge.
Yeah.
A lot of the people just want their privacy, and I get a lot, the people that, that deny the pump out usually are angry about it, if that makes sense. So I think it's something to do with authority, or I really don't know what it is, but they seem just not willing to want to talk, or they see us as some kind of authority figure.
Yeah.
And so they just, I had one guy who.
I mean, if it were free and we said, hey, this is a free service, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just questioning.
That's why I don't know. They would
you know.
still, no, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know, and
Okay.
I don't know. We had one guy who would view us as law enforcement and just be very hostile. And it's like, look, I mean, I'm not that guy. I'm just here to help, man. You know, so I couldn't answer that. There's, you know, a lot of these people, they don't want to be around anybody. You know, that's why they're out there. So it may be psychological, drug, whatever it may be. They just don't want anybody near their boat.
They're doing something on there they don't want to be
Or that,
seen, yeah.
yes. So that's where we lean on law enforcement and stuff like that to do the regulatory safety checks on these vessels, the regulatory registration checks and all that stuff. You know, just treat them like every other boater and just board them. You know, go out, take a look at what's going on, and cite what you can. But for your answer, I really don't know why anybody would not.
I've seen people in the past consider it inconvenient, even though it would seem to be very simple.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've seen that in the auxiliary too. They just don't want to coordinate it.
Yeah, I don't know. But other than that, we're just moving forward. I encourage anybody to come out and take a look at the field, take a look at the work we're doing. We do have an office set up under the bridge that we are operating out of. It's not much, but it is something to get the job done. So we are working with what we have to achieve the best that we can with what we have.
Austin, is that the trailers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if we could set up a tour of the possible
Water tower.
water tower site.
I'll check with utilities. I really don't know the ins and outs of what all the protections are, but it shouldn't be an issue.
Yes, it should be able to be worked on. Set the agenda for the next meeting. I think we wouldn't have the presentation from the sheriff's office, but I think we should hit the A, B, and C that we had this meeting and follow up.
I will put the presentation of the finance, Joe, as well on there, and
Okay.
invite him to go over the finances of the mooring building.
Do we want to add item about canals on there?
I have the two, what I consider experts with a broad history.
We'll add that
At
to
least
our
the dredging
agenda.
on the south end, and they both indicated, I don't know what their schedules are, that they'd be willing to come.
The next meeting is February 21st, if you want to try to set that up.
I feel they, if it's just the public comment, they'd only get 3 minutes. And
Yeah,
But if it's a
so-
presentation,
but if they get on
if
the
they're on the
agenda,
agenda,
they're on the
then they
agenda,
can take their
get more
time
time
and go longer.
to explain to us exactly, you know, what's happening.
Do you want to tentatively put that on the agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Let's
you.
put it on there, and if you can't arrange it, then we'll just pass over it.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
We'll put it on the agenda, so if they do show up, yeah, we have time.
And I would just caution folks that to really watch your notice from Austin, because we may be in the new trailers that are just a stone's throw away.
Yeah,
But who
right.
knows? I mean,
Yeah.
it's evolving.
Are the trailers marked? I mean, are they going to be, I guess they'll be marked, right?
And they'll be marked, and it'll also be kind of one-stop shopping for the constituent. When they walk in, they'll be able to pay their water bill, pay their parking fee, get their, check on their permits. It'll all be very user-friendly to the public. That's kind of the hope of anyways of the plan of attack.
Have we had any progress for a PIO, a new PIO?
It's on web, follow straight.
They're interviewing as we speak. but nobody's been hired, as I understand it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sam Lurie, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Lawful second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm gonna check and see.
Aye.
You know what?
Hey, Chris, when are you coming back?
You're jogging my memory.
We come back on Saturday.